One of the most widely acclaimed and obsessed over games of all time is a little indie game called The Universe. The Universe has always amazed its player base with incredible graphics, a powerful physics engine, in-depth lore, a massive map to explore, and a plethora of play styles and end goals. For the most part, I quite enjoy The Universe. Sometimes the gameplay is a little bit boring, and the user base can be quite toxic at times, but overall I think it's well worth your time. Now, I've been an active player for about 15 in-game years, and over that time I've become familiar with the basics of the game. Over this amount of time I have also encountered a few glitches that you might want to know about if you play The Universe, and so I present to you the Northern Lights, the Southern Lights, the Polar Lights, or the Aurora Borealis if you're feeling scientific, are, quote, a natural light display in the Earth's sky predominantly seen in high-latitude regions around the Arctic and Antarctic. These are basically bright and curvy lights that appear in the northern or southern skies. According to the in-game wiki, the cause of this phenomenon is solar wind interacting with the Earth's magnetic field. The sun emits charged particles which hit the particles of the atmosphere and release energy, thereby producing light. And this explanation is all well and good, but honestly, I think I have a better theory. I believe that these lights are simply a rendering error in the texture of the sky. Perhaps once the latitude position of a player increases past a certain point on the globe, the game's code hits an overflow error which messes with the rendering of the sky. It's impossible to know for sure if this is what is actually happening in the game's code, as no player has ever actually seen it. Either way, I believe that the devs found this glitch and just made it a feature, and I'm fine with that. I've decided to make it one of my quest lines. Popcorn, or Xena maize, is a plant that has been domesticated by humans for consumption purposes. The plant itself is not very interesting. However, the seeds, when they are heated to a certain temperature, they will explode into another more interesting form. This is relatively interesting, but it doesn't seem like it should be used for more than a science experiment for kids, rather like elephant toothpaste or baking soda and vinegar volcano. However, this popped version of the plant, when combined with a certain lipid and occasionally an assortment of spices, becomes one of the most delicious snacks there is. Being delicious is good on its own, but what I believe has pushed popcorn to become such an ingrained part of the game's culture is its signature popping ability. The sporadic and intense nature of popcorn's pops provides a slight piece of interest to the person making it, thus giving popcorn an edge over its competition. Essentially, popcorn would not be quite where it is today without the pop part. Scientific stipulation around why popcorn pops is that the water encased within the shell boils when heated to the correct temperature. The steam exists at a higher pressure than the water did previously, and so eventually the pressure breaks open the shell in a miniature explosion. This produces a popping sound, and the innards of the shell expand out and then cool to form the popcorn's distinctive shape. This explanation is again pretty good and makes sense. However, I believe it is incredibly unlikely that a plant would evolve this ability independently, as it gives almost no survival benefits. I have three theories as to what is the actual cause of popcorn's existence. Theory number one is similar to the theory for the Northern Lights. There could be an error in the game's code that, when the temperature of the seeds exceeds a certain threshold, the game makes an overflow error and the seed's graphics glitches. Theory number two is similar to theory number one, in that at high temperatures an overflow error occurs. However, this overflow error could also result in the popcorn entity getting assigned a new form as a placeholder when the game can't figure out what to do with it at that certain temperature. Theory number three is that popcorn was simply an Easter egg that the devs added in for no other reason than to provide an interesting food item for them to show off to investors at an in-game conference showcasing the game's incredible immersive technologies. Humans then discovered that they could recreate this Easter egg and began manipulating the temperature of these seeds to create a delicious treat. I think this explanation is the most probable because it explains why popcorn tastes so damn good. The source code of the universe has been sought after since humans got added to the game. The most recent and comprehensive theory on how small things are handled by the physics engine is called quantum mechanics. Glitch number 3 falls under this area. Glitch number 3 is also not exactly a glitch and might be intended behavior, but data miners and analyzers are still researching it. A test of the physics engine during annual patch 18.01 revealed that the game's code uses RNG to determine the position of photons. The player base at the time believed that there wasn't any true RNG in the game, and so this discovery shocked them. Before this point, there were a few individuals who believed that some parts of the game didn't exactly have RNG, but were instead just impossible to calculate. Anyways, High-level code researchers were fiercely divided along this issue, and this newfound RNG made a lot of people very angry. Honestly, this glitch might not even be a glitch at all. At the level it occurs at, it doesn't really have any effect on the experience of most players, and so my theory is that the devs probably just threw it in as a lazy patch to make the game's lighting better. However, some code researchers have recently thought of a way to exploit this RNG behavior to make OP computers, which could cause severe problems for players in game security. Maybe the devs will add in some other bit of code to make this impossible, but who really knows. The Universe is still a great game despite these minor glitches. In fact, I think the game is improved by them. Either way, this has been my review of the Universe. This has been Widdershins of the Squadcast. Have a lovely day.